This is, for our inner class, a live instruction, and I must put it on the record as such. This is today's lesson, not for admiration, not for discussion, not for spiritual tourism, but for practice. The method, as you will hear, is simple in words and severe in requirement. I must ask you, no, I must insist, that you do not pass this to another soul. Do not attempt to teach it. Do not try to heal with it until time and demonstration have sealed it in you so deeply that you cannot be shaken. If this should ever fall into hands not prepared to be still, it would be better the lesson had never been given. Now then, the governing word is not a slogan for the lips. It is the command of presence speaking within itself. Be still and know I am God. Hear that correctly. We are not going to use God. We are not going to summon a power to repair a condition. We are consenting, quietly, steadily, in secret, to God's government of what we have foolishly claimed as ours. Be still and know I am God. Your first patient is not a neighbor's body, not the world's noise, not even the headlines. Your first patient is the body you wear, and your first student is the same. It will learn, and it will resist, and both of these are to be met without aggression. Do not argue with it. Do not scold. Do not force. The first act of spiritual government is non-aggression, and the first province of your dominion is your own organism under the beholding eye. You will find, in the first days and weeks, that the mind argues. It will say, "This is childish. This is a waste. I have more important work." The body will fidget. It will itch, twitch, ache, demand adjustments, swallow, sigh. Feelings will mount a parade. Restlessness, fear, indignation, even a subtle pride that wishes to display progress. None of this is failure. This is the training ground. Every quiver is an invitation to deeper consent. Every protest is a place where the kingdom has not yet been welcomed. Be still and know I am God. Therefore, I assign you this consecration. Hold this practice in secrecy. No boasting, no reporting to the curious, no dramatic stories to win approval. Keep it between you and the I that governs. Enter your room, by which I mean the interior room of attention, and close the door on the world's claims, beginning with the claims of your own body's noise. Sit, and do not hurry. If at first there is little fruit, do not measure. You are not manufacturing a result. You are consenting to a government. And it may take months before you can say honestly that stillness has become your lived consent. But when that day dawns, you will know that the body has ceased to be your problem and has become your sanctuary, a receptive instrument under divine law. Until then, be faithful, be secret, and be still and know I am God. Now then, to make any honest beginning, you must accept this for the purpose of our work. There are two of you. I do not mean schizophrenia. I mean the plain spiritual fact that for this meditation you must assume an identity above the named person you answer to in the world. There is Mary, or John, or me, Joel. Call it the named self, the one that signs checks and answers the telephone. And there is I, the life of that person, the beholding one, the governor. And until you learn to take your seat as that I, you will be forever quarreling with your own instrument, trying to make a better person do better things with better thoughts. We are not here to make a better person. We are here to yield the person, body and mind, to the presence that already is. Be still and know I am God. Ask quietly, if I can look at my hand, am I my hand? If I can observe my breath, am I my breath? If I can hear thought flowing, contradicting itself, demanding and defending, if I can listen to it as to a radio in the next room, am I that thinking? Who is it that beholds? Who is aware of the body's fidgeting, the stomach's story, the chest's tightness? Not the person. The person is the thing beheld. The I is the beholder. And this I, do not confuse it with a superior thought. No, this I is the life itself, the doer, the sustainer. Outwardly it appears that Mary speaks, that John moves a hand, that Joel writes a letter. Inwardly, it is I that lives as Mary, I that moves as John, I that speaks as Joel, while the person, when rightly placed, becomes an instrument, and in practice, a beholder. Healing cannot begin while you are only the person trying to correct conditions by mental effort. That is aggression. That is manipulation. Put up thy sword. Healing begins when the person consents to be still and the I takes its seat, not as a tyrant, but as the one rightful governor. And you do this not by willpower, but by recognition. I am not the hand I behold. I am the I that beholds. I am not the breath I count. I am the I in whose presence breath rises and falls. Be still and know I am God. The practical aim is precise. The body-mind is to be yielded, not improved, received under government, not driven by personal edict. For this reason we practice stillness. The moment the body can be bidden into stillness, gently, repeatedly, be still. At that moment it becomes receptive to a government you are not personally voicing. You do not speak as a hypnotist to matter. You consent as the beholder to the presence that speaks in you. Today you may say, be still to the shoulders and to the stomach. In time you will discover it is being said in you, and the organism, feeling that quiet authority without force, yields. That is the seat you must take. That is the I you must trust. And from there, governance is not effort. It is the natural order of life under God. Be still and know I am God. Now then, before any reach of your hand toward healing, before any inward movement to help or to fix, I must give you a rule that is not to be broken. Put up thy sword. No mental violence, no wrestling with symptoms, no war with the body. We do not pummel appearances with thoughts. We do not drive down pain with affirmations. We do not take up God as a club with which to beat error. That is not spiritual government. That is the person trying to dominate effects. It will not be safe, and it will not be of God. Put up thy sword. Be still and know I am God. Non-aggression is not passivity. It is not denial. It is not pretending that there are no claims. It is, rather, the refusal to grant power to the appearance, the refusal to bow before a name, a diagnosis, a prognosis, a statistic. It is the quiet recognition that all power is in the I that I am, and therefore there is no power in form to harm or to heal. If a shadow jumps on your wall, you do not fight the shadow. You turn on the light. So here, we do not argue with a symptom. We abide in the light, and the shadow has nothing to cling to. Be still and know I am God. We are, in these days, inundated with claims. Fear in the pit of the stomach saying, this is dangerous. Diagnosis speaking with borrowed authority. Heredity whispering, "You belong to me." Time insisting, "Too late now." Prognosis parading a future of decline. Memory rehearsing the last episode. Statistics preaching inevitability. These are but suggestions knocking for your consent, asking you to lend them law. You do not need to shout them down. You do not grant them the dignity of a duel. You let them pass as wind over still waters. Get thee behind me. The person does not speak that as a threat. The I knows it as simple fact. Be still and know I am God. Here is your inner correction, and it must become immediate. When the mind rushes to fix, stop. Do not bargain. Do not calculate. Return to stillness. When the emotions surge, stop. Do not dramatize. Do not suppress. Return to stillness. One movement only. Step back into the beholder, take your seat, and bid the organism into quiet. Be still and know I am God. If thought protests, you need not silence it. You behold it and say, "Be still." If breath shortens, you need not force it. You behold it and say, "Be still." In the instant you refuse combat, government reappears as presence, and safety returns without display. And now you can see why I am moving you toward a definite method. Non-aggression is not a slogan. It must be taught to the body. The nervous system, trained by years of bracing and fixing, must be gently re-educated to receive dominion without fear. The 7-point stillness is our practical foundation. It is the way the beholder I teaches the organism to trust, to cease bargaining for safety, and to become an instrument under divine government. We will not cajole it. We will not force it. We will sit above it in quiet authority, and, part by part, we will say the one word that is safe because it is not ours alone. Be still and know I am God. Now then, let me show you how this one line functions when it ceases to be a sentence and becomes a government. In the beginning, it is you who say it. You will take the words upon your tongue and you will place them, as one would place a hand in blessing, upon the region of the body you are beholding. You will say, "Be still and know I am God." You will say it again. You will say it slowly, and you will mean it as consent, not as force. This is correct at the start, but if you persist, if you do not turn it into a performance, there will come a moment, unannounced, when you are no longer the speaker. Instead, you will find the words arising in you, as if the sea itself were breathing them. And you will discover that the authority is not the person uttering, but the I that addresses you. That is the pivot from which healing becomes effortless and safe. When the presence says, "Be still" in you, the body hears its true governor. You, of course, cannot use scripture as a charm. You cannot wave, "Be still and know I am God," like a magic wand over nerves or diagnosis. You have to use it as it comes to you, alive, now, as a command belonging to no person. If it is not living in the instant, be quiet until it is. If it comes, it will not come to do something to a condition. It will come as the self reminding itself of its own order. That is why we keep the lips light and the heart weighty. We are not trying to make something happen. We are consenting to what already is. What then does stillness mean? Practically, it is the easing out of unnecessary effort. The brow unknits. The tongue rests from its secret pushing against the teeth. The jaw releases its bargain. The shoulders lower their little arguments with gravity. Breath softens, not held, not managed, simply permitted to be as a tide you neither start nor stop. Thought, which was issuing commentary and counter-commentary, is noticed and allowed to subside, not by pressure, but because you are no longer taking dictation. Control, the incessant leaning forward of the will, reclines. Alertness remains. This is not collapse. It is a poised surrender, an alert consenting to the I that governs.
Now you will object, I don't feel anything.
Good. You are not trying to feel anything. Sensation is not our measure. We are establishing a habit of consent. Or you will say, my mind won't stop. No, it won't. Not when asked to be a saint overnight. Let it run a little. You are not its policeman. You are its beholder. Each time you remember, you take your seat again and you say, be still and know I am God. 100 times in one sitting? Then 100 times. Not with irritation, with the quiet certainty that repetition is not failure, but training. In time, the repetition changes character. In the early days, you address the body. Be still. Later, you find you are being addressed, and the same word that stilled the shoulder now stills the one who used to command. It will be as if a deeper breath has taken you. You are not the origin. You are the instrument. When this occurs, do not congratulate yourself. Do not tell anyone. Sit very quietly and let the governance continue until it finishes with you. That is the safety. That is the end of manipulation and the beginning of ministry.
And because the nervous system has been drilled for years in bracing and fixing, we shall go about this instruction in an orderly way. We will take the body as a student, point by point, and we will speak from above it, as one seated just over the crown, looking gently through the head, down through the trunk, out through the limbs, as if the whole were a hollow, receptive instrument. Slowly, without hurry, we will say, be still and know I am God. And we will wait for the least sign of yielding, not a sensation to be chased, but a subtle ceasing of self-assertion. This is how the body comes under its true government. This is how claims lose their borrowed law. And now, with your consent established, we will begin the 7 points. Now then,
Prepare yourself without ceremony. Sit, if you can, on a chair that does not invite collapse, or lie down if the body is weary, but even then, let there be a quiet dignity. Spine easy, not stiff, not slumped, simply consenting to its own uprightness. Jaw soft, the tongue resting, not pressed against the teeth as if making an argument. Hands placed where they can forget themselves, on the thighs or folded upon the belly, palms open if that is natural. Shoulders released from their little negotiations with gravity. Feet supported. Eyes at rest behind the lids or half open without grasping. No strain, no performance. We are not putting on a posture. We are consenting to one. Be still and know I am God.
now take your seat, and I mean this literally, within your inner sense. Not inside the chest, not behind the eyes, but above the crown, as if you were seated just on top of the brain, looking gently down. Not a watcher with binoculars, not a fixer with tools, a beholder. I, do you hear? I, seated above the person you have been calling me, and from this seat there is no hurry. The whole body is below as a hollow instrument, open to receive government, not orders from a nervous captain, but recognition from its own life. Let the picture be simple. You are seated above. The body is before you. And the word that sounds here is one. Be still and know
I am God. Give me your consent now to the pace. Do not race through. Each point we will meet in its own time. If the forehead is a busy harbor, we will not shout the ships away. We will wait until the tide changes. If the shoulders have been bracing all day and will not yet yield, we will not scold. We will sit and breathe the word, "Be still," and allow the authority to be quiet, not loud. If there is no response, do not interpret delay as failure. Remain gentle. Return tomorrow. Return in an hour for 5 minutes. This work is safe only when it is unhurried. And hear me on safety, because it is kindness to the body you wear. If emotion rises, tears without a story, a tremor that has no name, do not fight it. Do not dramatize it. Do not make it a report. Let it come as weather passes over a field. Keep your seat. Return your attention to the precise point you are addressing and let the mantra, softly, livingly, carry the authority for you. Be still and know I am God. If breath changes, you are not its policeman. If thought grows loud, you are not its judge. You are the beholder, seated above, consenting to the only government there is. State it within yourself, so there is no confusion. We are not trying to make anything happen. We are not conjuring a state, not forcing a breath, not folding the body into submission. We are letting what is real be recognized. The organism learns to trust when it is met by quiet authority without strain. As you sit above the body, feeling that you will not use it, will not attack it, begins to yield. That yielding is receptivity. That receptivity is the door through which the I governs. Be still and know I am God. Now we can begin. We begin where noise often begins, inside the head. From your seat above the crown, look gently down into the bowl of the skull, as if it were a quiet, hollow room. Do not analyze it. Behold it. The scalp, let it be a soft roof. The forehead, set down its little furrows. The temples, unclasp your watchfulness. The eyes, do not squeeze them shut. Let them settle back into their sockets like birds returning to the nest. The inner cheeks loosen. The jaw hangs by its own weight, not open, not shut, released from argument. The tongue, which has been pressing a case against the palate all day, let it rest low and wide, as if it remembered it is not a policeman. Now, in this space we say, slowly, without strain, be still. Be still and know I am God. Let the words not come from the mouth, but from the seat of the beholder. Let them spread inside the cranium like warm light moving through a quiet house. Across the brow, be still. Behind the eyes, be still and know I am God. At the hinge of the jaw, be still. In the soft palate, in the tongue's root, be still and know I am God. We are not asking tissue to do tricks. We are consenting to government. We are letting the brain, that faithful instrument, discover it is not the governor. Now address the mental machinery, and do it as one who loves. Thought, be still. Not stop thinking, not a club, not a chase. Be still. Commentary. You are relieved of your post for this watch. Be still and know I am God. Memory parading its files. Be still. Prediction arranging its worries. Be still. Do you see? You are not the radio. You are the one listening. You are not the moving picture. You are the light behind it. And because you are not taking dictation, thought need not be dragged out. It is simply not employed as governor. If you will sit here a minute longer, you may notice a first sign. Do not hunt for it. Let it find you. A slight widening, as if a window at the back of the room had been opened an inch. Not a sensation to clap for, a quiet behind the noise. There is a depth that is not thought, a space in which thought occurs and to which it answers, and that depth is I. Recognize it without claiming it, not I did it, but I am here. Let the mantra sound once more from that place, not to produce quiet, but because quiet is self-recognizing. Be still and know, I am God. Stay with the head a little. The scalp receives quiet. The forehead smooths by consent, not by force. The sockets cool. The eyelids are lakes at evening. The inner ears are not straining to catch the world's report. The brain, let us say it tenderly, is not a clenched fist. It is spacious, as if the air flows through it without resistance. You are not testing for results. You are practicing government by non-assertion. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Now observe the difference between suppression and stillness. In suppression, you are the person wrestling the mind. In stillness, you are the I beholding mind as weather. Thoughts continue to appear, but the you that used to ride them is seated. And when thought is no longer the governor, the I that beholds thought begins to govern the whole organism. That is the point. The body learns from the head that it is safe to yield. Do not hurry the bridge, but know it is there. As the head grows quiet, the shoulders become teachable. The heart region stops speaking so loudly. The belly ceases its negotiations. We will descend, but not yet. Once more, over the crown and into the hollow of the head. Be still and know I am God. When this is taken, even a little, we may continue downward. Now, from this same quiet seat above, let your attention widen just enough to include the shoulders, both of them at once, as if you were looking down into two shallow bowls set at either side of the neck. Do not go hunting for knots. Simply behold what years have taught them to do. Brace. Lift. Prepare to carry, to defend. Notice the tiny forward lean, the readiness to push, to pull, to take hold of the world and make it behave. They have been faithful servants to a nervous captain. Today, you relieve them of a war that never belonged to them. From above, with no strain, say into both shoulders, be still. Be still and know I am God. Let the words rest there, not as pressure, but as permission. Across the collarbones, be still. In the trapezius, where it climbs toward the neck, be still and know I am God. Do not fix them. Bid them. If they do not answer at once, do not bargain. Sit and say it again. The body learns trust from your refusal to hurry, and you will begin to feel not a drama, just a dropping of old sentry posts, a soft, almost embarrassed yielding when it discovers it is not responsible for holding up the world. Be still. Now let the attention, like warm light, run down both arms at once. Upper arms, be still. Elbows, oh, those little hinges of argument. Be still and know I am God. forearms that have been trained to reach, to fend off, to measure and correct. Be still. Wrists, so often held as if the next moment requires a parry. Be still and know I am God. We are not disabling function. We are returning the limbs to their proper office. Instruments, not engines. Servants through which life works, not makers of life. I am the doer. The arms are the instrument. Be still. Come now to the hands, those faithful symbols of human control. Look into the palms as if you could see right through them. If they are clenched, unclench without drama. If the fingers are curled, as if still holding today's ledger, let them soften and lengthen by their own weight. Thumb and forefinger, cease your secret pinch. The habit to grasp outcomes, to secure results, to clutch symbols. Release it. Hands, be still and know I am God. Not, I will get this, not, I must hold on. But I am here. I governs. You serve. Stay quietly with the fingertips, each one a little antenna trained to seize. Bid them all, be still. Let the backs of the hands rest where they lie. Let the palms forget their agenda. If a twitch appears, do not scold. Behold and repeat. Be still and know I am God. If emotion rises, a sudden heat, a tremor, do not interpret. Let it pass like weather. You are seated. You are not the weather. Put up thy sword. No fist is needed in the kingdom. As the arms cease their project of carrying the day, you may notice the neck no longer conscripts the shoulders into lifting the world. And breath, listen. Breath begins to remember itself. It lengthens of its own accord, not because you command it, but because nothing is being held up for inspection. The ribs find a little more space. The sternum is not a shield, it is a door. Do not rush to open it. Let the quiet you have established in the shoulders and down the arms signal to the chest that no attack is coming. No defense is required. Be still and know I am God. And as this takes even a little, we will allow the breath to deepen naturally and follow it, without force, into the heart's region. Now, with the same quiet seat above, let the attention come to the sternum, as if you could rest your hand over it without touching, not to pry, not to demand, only to behold. Sense the breastbone not as armor, but as a door that has learned to bolt itself against imagined weather. Feel, too, the ribs curving like a lattice around a garden they have been trying to protect by tightening. And behind it all, reach gently with your inner seeing into the upper back, just behind the heart, between the shoulder blades, where a small sentry has stood long hours, chin lifted, scanning for danger. We will not dismiss the sentry. We will relieve him. From above, slowly, livingly, be still. Be still and know I am God. Let breath be your messenger, but do not hire it as a laborer. Receive the inhale as if it were arriving of its own knowing. Do not fetch it. Allow the exhale to leave as if it remembered the way home. Do not push it out. With each tide, rest the word across the sternum and back through the heart's house. Be still and know I am God. If you find the chest has been wearing an invisible brace, note it without scolding. If you sense a plate over the heart, old grief hammered into a shield, behold it and, without any hammer of your own, say again, be still. Now, I must name for you what often comes to speak here, so that you will not mistake it for authority. Fear, whispering of futures that do not exist. Grief, keeping an altar to what is gone. Urgency, banging on the ribs, do something now or else. Put up thy sword. We do not wrestle fear, we behold it. We do not dramatize grief, we let it pass like weather. We do not bow to urgency, we remain seated. Each time the voice rises, you do not argue. You are not the courtroom. You let the presence answer itself in you. Be still and know I am God.
As you remain, the tone of the chamber begins to change. Not fireworks, companionship. A sense, faint as a lamp behind a curtain, that you are not keeping vigil alone. It is not a quotation. It is a fact of presence felt within your own house. I am here. I do not leave you. I do not forsake you. Do not turn that into performance. Do not grasp it. Sit and let the words arise or remain silent as they please, while the sternum warms from shield to door, and the ribs, one by one, remember they are not prison bars, but a cradle. Behind the heart, the sentry steps down, not dismissed, but gathered into peace. Into that quiet, once more. Be still and know I am God. Attend now to the upper back, the place that bears stories you never told. Between the shoulder blades, be still. Around the back of the ribs, where breath often refuses to travel, be still and know I am God. If a sigh comes, let it come without your command. If tears come, let them come without your theater. You are not manufacturing surrender. You are witnessing trust. And when the chest is softened even a little, when breath moves as if it had found a forgotten room, we will not rush. We will notice. The door has opened. Now we approach the hinge. Below the sternum lies the diaphragm, the solar plexus, the gate where control and surrender shake hands. We will descend there in its time. For this moment, let the heart's region rest under the only government that is safe because it is not yours. Be still and know I am God. Then, in the next breath, we will go to the hinge. Now then, we come to the hinge. Below the sternum, where the ribs meet and fan, there is a gate, the diaphragm, and just beneath it, the sun center, the solar plexus. This is a place the body has used as a workshop for anxiety, a bench for the need to do something. Many of you have carried the day here like a shield strapped tight across the upper belly, breath clipped, the mind whispering instructions down the line. We do not pry it open, we behold it. From your seat above, let the attention rest gently over the upper abdomen, as if your hand, without touching, were warming the very gate. No measuring, no correcting. Only this: be still. Be still and know I am God. Let breath be the messenger, not the laborer. Allow the inhale to arrive as if it remembers the door. Let the exhale leave as if it knew the way before you were born. Now speak, slowly, into this hinge, almost as a tide speaks to a shore. Diaphragm, be still. Solar plexus, be still and know I am God. If the belly is clenched, as if holding back a verdict, do not command it to soften. Bid it. If it refuses at first, do not bargain. Wait as one who knows the tide will turn. Again, lightly, livingly. Be still. Be still and know I am God. This is the center where the impulse to fix has been collecting tools.
plans, strategies, levers to pull. Lay them down. Here you must stop using God for a purpose. Do you hear me? Not one word of prayer is to be offered to accomplish a result. You will not take the mantra as a wrench to force an outcome. No. At this gate, purpose is yielded to God. The I that I am is the governor. The person is the beholder. Consent to that order, and the hinge begins to release. Refuse it, and you resume the old trade of manipulation. Put up thy sword. Be still, and know I am God.
Now this region is fond of parading claims.
Nausea may present its little theater. A band of tightness may try to pass as law. A hollow ache, a flutter, a stab, claims, all of them, asking for your signature. You will not sign. You will not fight either. You will behold, and in the beholding, you will deny them power without drama. The only law here is I. The only government here is I. Get thee behind me is not a threat. It is the refusal to confer reality. Again, into the center. Be still. Be still, and know I am God. Let the belly become receptive rather than clenched. If a small quiver rises and passes, let it pass like wind over a field. If a soft warmth spreads, do not seize it. You are not shopping for sensations. The sign we seek is consent, an easing of the grip, a rope that stops pulling against itself. You may notice, without asking for it, that the breath no longer avoids the back of the ribs. It begins, of itself, to slide under the arch of the diaphragm and stroke the inner surface of the spine. Good. Do not lean forward to help. Sit. Attend. Be still.
As the hinge yields, the whole front of the body stops leaning into life to make it happen. And the back, listen now, begins to remember its dignity. The spine senses permission to set down its history of effort. The nervous system, long schooled in readiness and rehearsal, takes the first lesson in non-aggression as physiology. Do not hurry this recognition. Let the last word here not be yours, but the presence sounding through you. Be still, and know I am God. And when this has been granted, even in the smallest degree, we will turn our chair a little and address the back itself, that faithful column which has carried more struggle than it was ever meant to carry. Now turn to the back, and do it as one who knows the way home. From your seat above the crown, let the attention float down behind the heart and look, not with eyes, but with a steady inner regard, along the column that has carried so much. Think of each vertebra as a little doorstep, and you are knocking, not to demand entry, but to announce peace. Begin at the base of the skull, where the neck meets the atlas, that place of must hold, must watch. Speak there first, quietly, without pressure. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Let the word descend, vertebra by vertebra. At the second, be still. At the third and fourth, where vigilance often camps, be still and know I am God. Across the bony shelf where the shoulders anchor, let the muscles that have learned to mount guard, trapezius, rhomboids, hear the same word. Not command, permission. Be still. Behind the heart, between the shoulder blades where old bravado hid its tears, be still and know I am God. Do not fix the back. Bid it. Do not press. Behold. Now, with a slow sweep, move down through the mid-back,
each segment a rung. T5, T6, T7. Be still. Let the erector muscles that have been strung like bowstrings for decades discover they are not required to hold up the universe. Be still and know I am God. If you meet a band of iron, an ache that calls itself chronic, a fatigue that insists it is law, recognize the habit, a claim presenting itself as power. You will not fight it. Put up thy sword. You will not grant it authority either. You will sit, and with the same unhurried certitude, you will say into it, be still and know I am God. As you enter the lower thoracics and move toward the waist, notice how responsibility has written itself into the long muscles. Years of I must, I have to, I alone etched here. We are not condemning history. We are relieving it. Linger without strain at the thoracolumbar junction, that crossroads of duty and fatigue. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Then pass into the lumbar, L1, L2, L3. Slowly, as if oiling a hinge, L4, L5, and down into the sacrum, the old altar of survival where the back has bargained with life to be safe. Do not hurry it. Be still and know I am God. I must tell you, because you must know what you are proving. A quiet nervous system is not a comfortable afternoon. It is the body becoming receptive to spiritual government. When these chords cease rehearsing struggle, when the spine is no longer a telegraph of alarm but a living staff in the hand of the eye, then governance is effortless. It is not that pain is managed, it is that the one who conferred power on pain has taken his seat and refused the vote. Get thee behind me becomes physiology. The voltage of fear drops without a fight. Be still and know I am God. If spasms twitch, if heat rises, if a dullness argues for your attention, each is weather. Do not enter the storm. Let presence answer presence in you. Repeat the word as if the nerves themselves could hear. And indeed they can, because the one that speaks is their life. Be still and know I am God. Feel, if it comes, the long muscles sighing, the back widening as if the room behind you has opened. The spine is not a spear. It is a flute. Let it be played by peace. Now, as the back remembers its dignity without armor, something else becomes possible. The body no longer needs to stand ready to run. The hips, the pelvis, the lower abdomen, roots of survival, will take the cue from the quieted column. We will not rush there. Sit one breath longer with the sacrum, the tailbone, as if you were blessing an old sentinel who has stood too many nights alone. Be still and know I am God. When this has taken, even a little, we will descend to the root and ask it also to be still. Now, with that same quiet authority from your seat above, let your seeing come to the basin of the hips and the whole bowl of the pelvis. Not as an examiner, as a beholder. Picture the two iliac wings, right and left, curving like the sides of a deep vessel. See, if you can, the hip sockets where the thigh bones enter, those faithful hinges that have learned to brace for departure. Sense the sacroiliac joints where bargains have been struck for safety. And below, the floor of the pelvis, like a sling that is tightened to keep life from falling through. We do not pry, we bless. Speak here, and do it tenderly, because this is the place that thinks it must survive by its own wits. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Let weight drop, not because you push it down, but because you cease holding it up. The bowl receives the sand. The sand does not argue. Hips, be still. Sockets, be still and know I am God. Let the gluteal muscles that have lived as hidden fists open their fingers. Let the groins, those guarded gates of flight and fight, be still. Invite the pelvic floor to stop being a clenched verdict and become a quiet sling again. You are not enforcing, you are allowing. Be still. Now the lower abdomen. Not the mind's plans hidden in the belly, but the soft front that has been taught to harden whenever the world speaks of money, of food, of sexuality, of shame. Here the person has said, I must get, I must guard, I must control. Hear me. The person imagines it secures life. The I reveals life is already established, already complete. The storehouse you seek is not outside to be won, nor inside to be gripped. Life is I. Speak into the lower belly as one who knows the truth that frees. Be still and know I am God. If sensations rise, heat in the groin, a tremor at the tailbone, an ache that calls itself memory, do not label, do not fear, do not go scouting for causes. Weather is passing across a field. You are the one seated above the field. Put up thy sword. No wrestling, no fixing, no digging. Let the only action be consent to government. Let the only word be the word that does not argue. Be still. Be still and know I am God. You may notice the thigh bones settling deeper into the sockets, as if the doors had quietly clicked into their hinges. Good. Do not help. You may feel the belly soften from a plate into a riverbed. Good. Do not claim it. There is a correction being made here that must be made at this root, or you will go on bargaining for safety all your days. You are not the life earner. You are not the life keeper. I am the life. I am the law of supply, of protection, of purity. Where the pelvis once negotiated with fear, it now rests in fact. Be still and know I am God. Remain a little. Let the weight deepen, the joints loosen, the shame without a name pass unrecorded. When the survival center is stilled, the body stops bargaining for safety and begins to rest in the fact of divine life. And now, without haste, we will complete the circuit. From the pelvis we descend through the long bones, into the knees, the ankles, all the way to the toes, where the last readiness hides. But not yet by running. One more time into the bowl. Be still and know I am God. Then we move on. Now we continue, slowly, without ambition. From your seat above, look down through both thighs at once, as if each leg were a hollow channel from hip to knee. Do not search for knots. Behold, the great muscles at the front that have pushed you into tomorrows. Be still. The long bands at the outer thighs that brace for impact. Be still and know I am God. The hamstrings behind, so faithful to the habit of departure. Be still. We are not disabling your walking. We are releasing the unconscious readiness to flee, to fight, to prove. The I is the governor. The legs are instruments. be still. Let the word run slowly, like warm light, down the length of both thighs again. Be still, and know I am God. If a quiver rises, if warmth spreads, if dullness pleads its case, weather. Put up thy sword, no wrestling, only the steady bid of one seated. Be still. Now come to the knees, those hinges that have memorized bending to pressure and springing for escape. See the cap, the joint behind, the soft spaces at the sides. Knees, be still. The urge to prove strength, be still and know I am God. The memory of falls, of kneeling in fear, of standing to be counted, be still. Let the joint discover it is not the judge of safety. It is a servant under law. Be still. Pass on into the calves, both at once, the twin muscles that have pulsed to the drumbeat of hurry. Calves, shins, the long cords that have learned to run before the heart has listened. Be still. Be still and know I am God. Let the message reach the Achilles, that faithful tether to the past's sprint. Achilles, be still. Ankles, little hinges of departure and defense, be still and know I am God. Do not help. Do not rotate or fix. Bid them and wait. Now the heels, the soles, the arches. Look as if you could see the whole map of going and getting etched there. Heels, be still. Arches that have tried to hold the sky, be still and know I am God. The pads that test the ground before the eye has spoken, be still. And the toes, 10 small sentries keeping watch at the edge of the world, be still. First and second, be still. Third and fourth, be still and know I am God. The little fifth on each foot, last to stop gripping, be still. All 10 together now, be still and know I am God. Remain here, longer. Do not reach for a sign. Let the sign be the absence of reaching. Notice, without taking credit, when the feet are no longer braced to prove the day. When the ankles are not whispering, "Get ready." When the calves and knees and thighs are simply present. This is the completion. When stillness reaches the feet, the whole organism has been included. Nothing is left outside the government of the I. The body is no longer a committee of departments arguing. It is a single receptive instrument. Do you feel that? Not sensation only, consent. A body not coerced, but quietly agreed into peace. Let there be silence. Allow presence to speak if it will, or to remain wordless if it prefers. Do not get up and rush to use this. Do not draft God into your errands. Sit under the government you have acknowledged, and let the last word not be yours, but the living word, sounding or not sounding, as it chooses. Be still and know I am God. Then, only then, we will see what is to be done or not done by the I that governs. Now we must face the question that always waits at the door after prayer. What does this stillness accomplish? It does not fix anything by force. It does not send currents through tissue to repair it. No. The stillness is consent. It is the body-mind laid down under divine government so completely that appearances lose their deputized authority. In that atmosphere, the claim, whatever its costume, pain, fever, diagnosis, prognosis, finds no law to sustain it, and, lacking law, it dissolves into its native nothingness. Not nothing in the sense of denial by pretense, but nothing because all power is in I. All power is in the I that I am. There is no power in form or effect or germ or heredity or condition. Do you see? When the instrument is receptive, the true music plays, and the noise ceases of itself.
Now then, how do you meet a diagnosis, a symptom, a frightening sentence spoken in a white room? You do not argue with it, you do not fear it, you do not recruit God as your advocate to win a case. You take your seat. You return instantly to the eye that beholds. From that seat you put up thy sword. You will not fight appearances. You will let the word that is not a word, the presence, say itself in you. Be still and know I am God. If the pulse races, let it race without your consent to its authority. If pain cries, let it cry without your certification. Let the mantra be not an incantation, but a yielded government. Be still, and know I am God. Do not attempt to prove a skyscraper the first hour. Prove a step. Prove a rung on the ladder. When a cold lays its claim, do not dramatize. Take your seat and refuse it power, quietly. When a headache whispers its inevitability, do not bargain. Sit and say, not to drive it out, but to seat the I. Be still and know I am God. When anxiety tightens the belly and writes urgent across the day, do not chase it down alleys. Sit, and with your whole practice behind you, bid the diaphragm, the heart, the mind, be still. Each small demonstration is not a trophy. It is your own conscience being convinced. After 3, 5, 10 such proofs, you will no longer be borrowing my word. You will have your own, and you will say, "Oh, now I know." You cannot fool me now. I must warn you, because love must warn. Do not turn these proofs into triumph. We are not using God to show results. We are surrendering to God. And the result, if there is a result, is the disclosure of truth in this moment. If an appearance yields, good. If it lingers, we do not descend into wrestling. We deepen stillness. Healing is not a contest of wills. It is the cessation of your will. Refuse the temptation to declare victory over a cold today and parade it before friends tomorrow. You have already lost the center when you seek applause. Keep silence. Return to your seat. Let the I be the doer, and, if need be, the non-doer. And remember, when a so-called serious claim confronts you, the rule does not change because the costume is darker. There is no more power in a named disease than in a headache when you are seated in I. The only difference is your fear. So the work is the same. Put up thy sword, refuse to confer law on the appearance, and establish stillness until presence addresses the appearance in you without effort. Then you will witness governance, not performance. Then you will know why we have spent these minutes teaching the body to be still. So that in the hour of claim, no fight is needed and no fight is possible. For the government is already upon his shoulder. Be still and know I am God. Now we bring this to rule, because without rule, you have only an episode. A single session may comfort you, but comfort is not consciousness. Do not measure by moods, measure by fidelity. I must ask you to accept this. It will take you not less than 3 to 4 months of daily, disciplined stillness before this becomes your natural government. Not less. If you are unwilling to be that faithful, set this aside for now. Do not admire it,
Do not pass it on. Wait until you are ready to be ruled by it. Your minimum structure is simple and it is non-negotiable. Each day, one longer sitting, no less than 30 minutes, and, when you have the strength, to 60. Do not hurry. Take your seat above and walk the 7 points just as we have done, not as a performance, but as obedience to the mantra. Be still and know, I am God. Then, several times each day, 3 to 5 minutes only, return. At waking, before entering the machinery of the day, at midday when the world is loud, and in the evening before sleep. In these brief returns, you are not to improve yourself. You are to re-establish government. A quick descent, head, shoulders, heart, hinge, back, root, feet, each addressed with only one intention. Be still. Keep the schedule holy by hiding it. Secrecy is not coyness, it is protection of sincerity. Do not make a show of this. Do not speak of it at the office, in your club, around your table. If you must leave a room to keep your appointment, do so without announcement. All worship is wrong when done in public, because it feeds the person. Keep the purpose of it secret. If you wear a small reminder, a string, a ring, do not tell a soul why. The moment you turn this into identity, it ceases to be prayer and becomes theater. Put up thy sword against applause. How will you know you are progressing? Not by fireworks, by government. You will find, without planning it, that the command arises of itself. In the bank line, at the door of an argument, in the night when a pain knocks, you will hear it, not you addressing the body, but presence addressing you. Be still and know I am God. Hands lower before they clench. The tongue pauses before it argues. The breath descends without summons. This is the sign, not ecstasy, but a spontaneous non-aggression settling into your members. When that begins, continue. Do not boast. Deepen. Now hear me, because here is the moral weight. Never undertake healing work for another until you have been established in this non-aggression and this inner government has become natural. We do not use God to fix people. We consent to God and behold governance. If you take up cases while you are still a sword-bearer, you will injure yourself and them with your fear. Lay down the sword. Take your seat. Do the months. Make the daily rule your altar in secret until stillness is no longer something you practice, but something that practices you. Then, and only then, when called, you will not perform, you will behold. And in that beholding, the presence of I, constituted as your very consciousness, will heal. Be still and know, I am God.